Anybody got anything they would like to add on? Okay, go
When you
ahead.
say a lack of knowledge, what can we do as black people to educate people so they have the knowledge? Because I definitely feel like there's definitely a lack of knowledge, like for real going on inside the black communities when it comes to uniting with each other. But how do we educate? You know, if people don't want to listen, or how does it work? Right? Difficult thing sometimes.
Okay. Anybody on this panel want to answer that question?
No, I think you can answer that question, Jay. Don't answer the question, Jay. How do we unite?
All right.
How
Well,
do we build up?
first of all, is what I'm saying, acknowledging that who you are and where we come from, and that's a difficult thing at the same time. But in reality, we will have to, like, for instance, we're gonna go into organizing things real quick, and I'm gonna do this real quick. I ain't gonna get on that level because that's you know we can go through so many subjects on that, but I'm gonna break it down to one thing. The only way that we can unite is by law. We have to have law and structure. Black men will have to stand at a certain degree and respect black women, and black women will have to represent who they are and know that they are the birth of this land. And once they know that and we embrace them, then we can unite. But in the organizing now, we're gonna break this off in the organizing now. How do we make that contact? Do we contact individuals by issues? So when we organizing out here and trying to build a connection with one another, we mostly dealing on a issue. Go ahead now.
You organize people around what they care about.
No, you organize people around the solution
of what they care about.
Shantae, what you care about, excuse me, Miss Lady, but what you care about could be influenced by the umbrella of suppression that you have accomplished in your life or where you
Let's
be.
get some other opinions.
Okay. Do anybody else got anything they would like to add on to it?
Organize people in a real way.
And how you organize people in a real way is by the solution. I want to break this.
They care about.
Listen, let me break this down to you. Very simple. Half of the United States of America care about what? Go ahead.
How do we do the solution if we don't know what they care about?
First of all, is this here. If we organize and people look like you and I, you already know what the solution is. Listen, no. The solution is, it's not assumed. The solution is separation. That's the solution. Building your own economy. That's the solution. There's no other solution. Now, since you said that, and if anybody want to add on or take away or however the case may be, that's great.
When you say build your own economy, what do you mean by that?
Actually, building your own resources. Just disconnect you from paying taxes in the United States, dealing with the government, self-governing yourself, growing your own property, your own crop. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the resources, the source that the United States and any other country abroad that's, go ahead, man.
That's long term, but what can we do right now?
Right now, what we need to start doing right now is building a connection with something that disconnect you from your suppressor. And that means, if I know people don't want to hear this, that means
building around the why. Why they doing it.
That's
because
great.
If people don't understand why they doing it, they won't do it. It's hard to organize community.
That sounds great for those who stuck into the political side of being in America, you know, we would use those words to convince. Go ahead. If someone has something they wanted to say.
How can you do that without the government?
You said what now?
How can you do that without the government? How can you own your own?
Well, first of all, it's this here.
Can you repeat the question for the viewers?
You said how can we do that? You said how can we do that with what?
With like
Without the government,
like basically being in the way.
Without the government being in the way.
Like asking, we gotta ask them in order to even build our own.
Don't know.
That's why you living in the situation. So she just said, why? Once you get out of that state of mind, then it's clear and simple. First of all, the government don't go by no law. They create law. Once you separate yourself from that,
how you gonna separate yourself? And it's a government-driven world. What are you saying? Just go somewhere and start getting some land and growing some crops without asking the government? I mean, these
in reality, that would be real foolish for you to make a statement like that.
Why?
Because
you making the question.
Because you're making a mockery of my understanding and where we're going with this. You're making a mockery out of it. Yes, you is. You know what I'm saying? That's a mockery because you know off the top, just going doing this, you know what it takes. But if you don't know what it takes, then say you don't know. Don't make a mockery of what.
But the question was, how can you do all this stuff that you said we should do to live by law without the government in the way? That was the question.
Okay, that means that you don't know law. Period. That means you don't know law.
I for one think you don't have an open conversation about it. That's just what I'm gonna say.
Open conversation about what? The law?
How?
Give me a mic. Go ahead.
We gotta mind the sites that we're using. Okay? So when we ask these questions, do we really expect for a solution to be given where we know the eye is watching?
And that put us in a situation you asking me why. Let's connect with him. Why? So I cannot actually explain that in that type of format and knowing when you said, how can you do that without the government? So that let me know that you are in tune with the government, but you're not in tune with self and where we are going and what we need to be doing. Okay. So in order to do that, we will have to do something different. So
no, I think we all need to do something different, even us here.
Yeah, true.
Not just the audience with what they asking, but us with what we saying we want to deliver. When we say we want to deliver something, it has to be something that can be actually transmuted into life that we live in today and tomorrow. You get what I'm saying? And so
exactly what you're saying.
Okay, and so when we get to those levels, when we have those things that we can actually present, that's going to boost us into the next bracket, then the explanations will be given to where everybody can be filled in and understand where they fit into that.
Okay.
Let's hear what special guest Mr.X has to say or his critic on the situation.
All right.
Well, my thing is, I agree with what he said. You know, you have to have something to present and lay the foundation. And certain things just really don't need to be aired right now. But you need to focus on the objective. You know, so you have to establish something and then plant and grow from there.
I agree. Go ahead, man.
What's an example of establishing something?
Establishment means anything from business to human relations. You know, just getting the foot out there in the community.
I can expound on that with building trust because there is a lack of trust in the communities. If you look at the recent movies that they put out, it shows nothing but the common narrative that they want you to focus on, which is the crab in the barrel bucket, which makes you feel like there's no good, black people to build with. So that's something that is gonna have to be aired out.
So that we are here. Go ahead, my brother. I see you in the
When
back.
they say black owned, what they mean by that?
Who wanna answer that? He
Yeah,
said, what does black owned mean?
You know what I mean? Like, is it black people that own it, or is it under somebody?
Can we get an answer to that from the panel?
Well,
Anybody?
Did anybody want to say anything on that?
I guess it depends on what you're talking about.
Like, I mean,
I think
like we just we praise the ones who's black owned, but are they really black owned? Are they under somebody, and then we just got black workers?
Okay, for example, who do you mean, for example?
Like just black restaurants. They got black employees.
Like Sweetie Pie?
Yeah, black owned.
black owned.
I think those are. I
But
think
are they under somebody?
Those are.
They are endorsed by many people, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure they gotta go. I'm pretty sure they gotta jump through their own hoops.
Races, you know?
I'm pretty sure they gotta jump through their own hoops like everybody else, but ultimately the people that pay to have those businesses started in that area, they probably still have to pay on that too. So I guess they would just.
This is what black owned would mean. Black owned would be disconnected. When you look at different countries and different places, they are owned by those people, no one else.
You mean you don't have to pay taxes on it?
United States of America.
You don't have to pay taxes.
Well, right, because you are a servant in that country. Whoever owned that country or colonized that country. You know what I'm saying? Them the ones who orchestrate and set laws in that country. So when you are black owned, there would be like a certain country in Africa that's disconnected. No one's making laws in that country. No one's calling shots in that country. They trade whatever they got in that country with whoever, whatever. So go ahead, man.
Well, even in the other countries, they do have elderly men who control the village and what goes on, and
Right.
trading.
Right.
They do have that.
Right. So those are black owned, independent. So when you black owned, you are independent. See, when you're not independent and separated like that and in a position to bargain and trade, you're in a position to be a consumer. Go ahead.
So, okay, so is it really black owned here if a person is renting from, so if they get a building and they're renting, they're paying rent,
Mm-hmm.
and the person who owns the building is actually a white person, and
Right.
they're paying rent to them to have their black business in there.
Right.
How is it technically black owned if they don't own the business, they don't own the land?
Right. Because you're
They
paying
still
taxes
paying
every
rent.
year on it.
And
So
then
you don't
they
own it.
still paying rent to somebody
Right.
else.
Right. See,
So how
is
so
that
that's
considered
that's
black
what got me thinking.
Right.
That's a valid question. That's why I said.
that's why
Go
he-
ahead. That's why I said they would
I never
still
thought of this.
they would still
Right.
have to pay for that like location. location because that location is a part of the, you know,
Right.
like
Right. So that
it's a
means,
part of the corporation of America.
so when you, listen,
So it's technically
listen,
not,
listen,
would not be
listen.
black owned.
Right, so when you are black owned,
Bro.
when you are black owned, you have your own economy.
But
You are
there
paying it.
are
Go ahead.
there are black people who are behind creations behind
Right.
some of these organizations. Like, for instance, there is a black owned company or organization called Ole Inca, and they produce vitamins.
Right,
And
right.
they manage how do you say that? Manufacture and distribute them themselves.
Right.
But they're FDA approved. Though.
Right.
You
Through
get what
their
I'm saying?
system.
So they have to go through that to be the, you know, biggest black owned one in America. But they create those themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And those are natural,
system.
created by herbs and stuff like that.
So you still have to go through their system.
So it's
When
no
you-
way to not.
Right. But that's because they have colonized the United States of America. So if you under someone's colonization, you got to realize you just a servant.
Right.
You someone that build the
How do you
economy.
disconnect from that? If you have to go through all these.
We cannot
when you
discuss
keep saying-
that.
Okay.
We cannot discuss
I
that.
got that part.
We can't discuss that. We can't discuss that.
I'm
But
it's the
we
right
can
answer.
understand that no matter how high you assume to get and how great that you assume to see, their success is signed by them.
Mhm.
For every dollar they make half of that. When you separate from that, then that's the difference.
You know where
Until-
we're at right now.
Well, okay. Well, like I said, but how can we connect the community though? We was talking about connecting the community. But we're not worried about the government. Let's go back to connecting the community. Go ahead. Go and say what you got to say, my brother. I hear you back there. Say what you got to say. Now we connect the community, man. We want to be able to connect.
But how do you connect
I
the
think it,
community?
I think
How
it
do you
is
go about
still building the trust and then educating. I mean, black people don't trust each other.
I think that's what they say,
Like, I mean,
building the trust. I think we could.
As far as black women trusting black
But how do
men,
you
black
start
men
building
trusting
trust
black
in the
women,
broken
it's hard.
Yeah.
I didn't see a black man walk up there, and I'm being honest, and I hear my life, I'm like, fuck no, I'm getting my locks for. I'm being real. Like, we gotta be able to trust each other. Like,
He said, what did you say, my brother?
How do you build trust in the broken community?
yeah.
So how you build trust in
That's
a
why
broken
You
community?
it started with self. I feel like if we all started healing ourselves and we start focusing on ourselves and better ourselves, then we will be able to learn to trust each other. But if I don't trust myself, I ain't gonna trust you. I think that's kind of hard.
What about the mental
Mhm.
issues that people don't want to address in our community?
Right. But see, this is the thing.
And that's another discussion, because then there's another discussion that has to be had about, you know, what will we not allow back into the community? You get what I'm saying? Because there's certain lines that we shall not cross,
That's true.
and we have to have those codes.
And that's true too. That's another building. That's another conversation. But when you dealing with these people in the community, and if you're not equipped enough, there's two things gonna happen. This is known to be the truth. Either you're gonna change that or you're gonna become that. So when you're going in the community, you need to realize what you're going in there for. Because either you're gonna become the community or you're gonna change the community. Now, we could look at buildings and say things change, but the character's the same. But it's all about the seed. See, once you drop that seed and fertilize that seed, that's important. And number one is this here. Organizing the community, it take a real spiritual individual that live by law. This is the truth. I don't care about how much knowledge you know. A person that's strong and in tune with themselves gonna reach all the way down and gonna pull whatever it is up. I promise you. Because a person that's in tune, once he go in the community, he already see everything in the community, every character, actions, what they thinking, how they gonna respond. He already know, or she already know. And then the important part is this here, when we're talking about she. Once you find something in the community that's like a female that have morals, that's the difference. Values, structure, discipline, that's the difference. Once you connect with that source, 9 out of 10, there are going to be individuals around her that hear but not listening. They're just around. But when you're able to build that shelter around, so them individuals in there, them sheep that's lost, gonna be able to see, to hear, because they're gonna see. Now, it's called mobilizing communication. See, they don't teach you that, how to mobilize communication. How do you mobilize communication? That's important. Excuse me, ma'am? Right. Being honest. That's good. That's great. Being honest. But when you mobilize communication,
Leading by example.
that's great. I'm going to show you how to mobilize conversation. When you can sit back from here and look across the room and send the conversation to the individual. The individual gonna move. I have seen it done plenty of times. Mobilizing conversation. Turning that mobilization of conversation to characteristics of action. Now we are moving someone. Because now we go back to what y'all saying. By telling the truth. Leading by the example. That adds up to that. Now we are moving something. That's the difference.
You want to do last thought?
Yeah, we're going to do last thought, but this is a different level of organizing. This is not a tool or pamphlet that you go out and tell someone a story that's going to put them in a position to wait. See, like, if you go in the meeting, like when I was in the meeting one time, and we was in the action. When we got in the meeting, they said, how do you feel? Did you see the people? Did you see how they was? You know what I said? There was nothing, no message. You just marched in a circle for an hour. They already know what you're marching for. You started talking about this. Nothing going on. Like I should tell you, they're out there dancing on the line. What is you dancing for? And we hear the demand.
You talking about what kind of line? Can you explain that for people that might not know?
Well, you know, we got all kind of lines. We got fraud line, we got pretenders line, we got protester line, we got rally lines, we got line lines, all of them the same. They're orchestrated by the suppressor. So we talking about the suppressor line. They riding for us, but we out here dancing and pop locking and dropping in. And they talking about y'all heroes. We're not no hero. We're an idiot. But once we separate from that, I promise y'all, I promise everybody that's watching, that's listening, if you tap in deep with self and get in tune, you can send a crowd of people and send a message all the way across the room.
Okay. Last thoughts.
Don't go down last thoughts.
Corey, you taking us out.
God, you gonna bring us on in.
Yeah, I mean, telling the truth, like they said, has his way of moving the next person. I think I know what you're talking about on that because I've said a ton of things that might have went past somebody's head, and then they might have saw some next day and or next month or whatever, and it came back to him like,
Yeah,
dang, I remember you said that.
yeah,
Damn, like yeah, so yeah, I see that.
All right,
that's real.
okay.
And we experienced that.
Motivation.
That's right. Go ahead, Mr. X.
Bottom line is, we gotta tap into our higher self. If we want to unite, we got to be the change that we want to see.
That's true.
You know, so therefore, you got to tap in. And then once you figure out what's within, then you'll be ready.
Right,
So just think about it.
right. And I want to say this here before we go. When you wake up in the morning, we good rise. But I want to say this here, because we're finna go now. When you talk to someone that tell you something that you ain't read or they haven't read, ask yourself where it come from. And it's the truth. If the truth come to you to give to someone that you haven't read, ask yourself where it come from.
All right.
I appreciate y'all, boy. Y'all had a question, boy.
You got